What happens when a country expels one of its most hardworking, dedicated, and skilled workforces? The answer: regret, massive regret. From healthcare crises to economic collapse, these nations thought they could thrive without Filipinos. They were wrong. After sending Filipino workers back home, they were met with severe worker shortages, failing industries, and desperate efforts to bring them back. Here are 15 nations that deeply regret removing Filipino workers, and the consequences are shocking. Number 1. Saudi Arabia, a healthcare crisis no one saw coming for decades. Filipino nurses, caregivers, and medical professionals formed the backbone of Saudi Arabia's healthcare sector. However, in 2011, the country implemented stricter policies on foreign labor, forcing thousands of Filipinos to leave. The government assumed local Saudi workers could fill the gap, but the plan failed miserably. The country soon faced a severe shortage of skilled healthcare workers. Hospitals struggled to provide adequate patient care, and public dissatisfaction surged. Ultimately, Saudi Arabia reversed its decision and resumed hiring Filipino healthcare professionals, acknowledging their irreplaceable value. Number 2. Kuwait, a labor ban that backfired. Kuwait heavily relied on Filipino domestic workers, nurses, and engineers. However, in 2018, a diplomatic conflict between the Philippines and Kuwait resulted in a total labor ban. Due to numerous reports of abuse and mistreatment, the Philippine government halted the deployment of workers. Initially, Kuwait dismissed the concerns, believing it could find replacements from other countries. But soon, a widespread labor shortage gripped the nation. Families struggled to find domestic help, hospitals lacked nurses, and businesses suffered. By 2020, Kuwait was forced to negotiate a new labor agreement with the Philippines to restore the vital Filipino workforce. Number 3. Qatar, the loss of Filipino hospitality workers was a disaster. Qatar's economy thrives on oil, tourism, and world-class hospitality, with Filipinos making up a significant share of the hotel, restaurant, and airline workforce. However, the 2017 diplomatic crisis among Gulf nations led to widespread job cuts. Many Filipino workers were forced to return home. Qatar believed it could maintain service levels with other foreign workers, but quality declined rapidly. Tourists noticed, and businesses suffered. By 2019, the country reopened its doors to Filipino workers. Today, Filipinos dominate Qatar's hospitality and aviation sectors, underscoring their unmatched professionalism. Number 4. United Arab Emirates, a labor crisis in construction and hospitality. Despite being one of the wealthiest countries in the Middle East, the UAE owes much of its development to Filipino workers across healthcare, construction, retail, and hospitality. In 2020, during the COVID-19 pandemic, thousands of Filipino work permits were suspended, forcing many to return home. This move led to nurse shortages, construction project delays, and a decline in tourism services. By 2022, the UAE was actively seeking to rehire Filipinos, offering higher wages and better benefits, acknowledging that its progress was impossible without them. Number 5. Malaysia, the service industry collapse. Malaysia once had a large population of Filipino workers, especially in housekeeping, retail, and food service. Filipinos were known for their dedication and excellent customer service. But in 2016, Malaysia tightened foreign labor laws, forcing many to leave. The impact was immediate. Hotels declined in quality, restaurants couldn't meet demand, and retail businesses suffered from poor service. Realizing the damage, Malaysia resumed recruiting Filipinos, who are once again vital to the country's workforce. Number 6. Japan, a failing elderly care system. With one of the world's oldest populations, Japan has long depended on Filipino caregivers. However, in 2010, Japan introduced strict language and qualification requirements, reducing Filipino entry into the caregiving sector. The result was a dire shortage of caregivers. By 2018, Japan had to ease these restrictions. Today, Filipinos remain one of the largest groups in Japan's elderly care sector, reaffirming their importance. Number 7. Singapore, a crisis in domestic and healthcare services. Filipino workers are essential in Singapore's domestic and healthcare sectors. They care for children, elderly individuals, and households, while also serving in hospitals. In 2020, Singapore's strict border controls during the pandemic prevented many Filipinos from returning or renewing their contracts. Thousands of families were left without help, and healthcare facilities became understaffed. Employers quickly realized that workers from other countries couldn't match the skill and commitment of Filipinos. By late 2021, Singapore reversed course, improving pay and conditions to attract them back. Number 8. Hong Kong. A failed attempt to replace Filipino domestic workers. Filipino domestic helpers have long been the preferred choice in Hong Kong due to their trustworthiness, professionalism, and strong work ethic. In 2017, the government tried to promote hiring locals and workers from other countries to reduce costs. However, this decision backfired. Employers reported poor service, lack of experience, and even dishonesty from the new hires. By 2019, Hong Kong quietly reversed its policy, and today, demand for Filipino domestic workers is so high that families pay extra to hire them. Number 9. South Korea. The industrial workforce. They couldn't replace South Korea's industries, especially manufacturing and technology, depended heavily on skilled Filipino labor. But in the early 2010s, visa regulations tightened, reducing Filipino access to work permits. Companies struggled to find local workers for demanding roles, leading to delays and financial losses. Some businesses raised wages but still couldn't meet demand. By 2016, South Korea resumed hiring Filipinos with better benefits, affirming their value in the industrial sector. Number 10. Italy. The collapse of elderly care. Italy, with one of Europe's oldest populations, relied heavily on Filipino caregivers. In 2011, strict immigration policies pushed many out, leaving families without qualified care. Nursing homes became overcrowded, and individual care suffered. By 2014, the government relaxed restrictions, and Filipinos once again became essential in elderly care, a sector Italy now knows it cannot sustain without them. Number 11. Canada. A nursing shortage that changed everything despite its immigrant-friendly image. Canada once restricted Filipino migration. In the early 2000s, tighter immigration rules made it difficult for Filipino nurses to move there. Soon, hospitals and care homes experienced severe staff shortages. By 2015, Canada reversed its stance, fast-tracking immigration for Filipino nurses. Today, they are a cornerstone of Canada's healthcare system. Number 12. United States. A healthcare crisis triggered by restriction. Filipino nurses have played a vital role in the U.S. healthcare system for decades. But in the early 2010s, visa limits for Filipino workers were introduced. The assumption that American nurses could fill the void proved disastrous. Hospitals experienced staff shortages, and patient care deteriorated. In 2018, the U.S. reopened its doors to Filipino nurses. Today, the country continues to rely heavily on their expertise and commitment. Number 13. Spain. A sharp decline in skilled labor despite historical ties. Spain reduced visas for Filipino workers in the mid-2000s. The consequences were clear. Hotels, restaurants, and care facilities couldn't find skilled replacements. By 2015, Spain had no choice but to reverse its decision. Filipino workers are once again in high demand, particularly in healthcare and hospitality. Number 14. Australia. The unexpected economic impact. In 2017, Australia restricted skilled worker visas, impacting Filipinos' ability to migrate. Industries like healthcare, hospitality, and construction soon faced labor shortages. By 2020, Australia reintroduced immigration pathways, once again welcoming Filipinos into its workforce, having learned how indispensable they were. Number 15. New Zealand. A farming industry in crisis. New Zealand's agriculture and dairy sectors have long relied on Filipino workers. In 2018, visa restrictions reduced their numbers, triggering production declines and business losses. By 2021, the government reopened its borders, fully recognizing that Filipino labor was vital to the economy. These 15 countries all attempted to replace Filipino workers, and all regretted it. Whether in healthcare, hospitality, manufacturing, or domestic services, Filipinos have consistently proven themselves to be irreplaceable. So the next time someone asks, why are Filipinos in such high demand worldwide? You now have the answer. What do you think? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in the next video.